2 Christmases ago, I was out filming with Christopher, our designer.
Yes, I'm casting my mind back.
Doodle-doo, doodle-doo. We called the filming and the whole sort of thing Project Bathgate because we didn't want anybody in here to know what we're doing because we weren't sure they would allow us to do it.
It's not so much that. I think we just like the idea of keeping things secret from time to time.
What we were actually doing was out filming with Lisa from the Performance Academy, and we created a little sort of mini advert.
Well, because it's Christmas time, we thought let's write a pantomime and let's kind of include class for kids in it and tell a little bit of a story. And we came up with A Lad in a Teapot.
A Lad in a Teapot, where I was the genie in it.
Actually, do you know, one of my favourite pieces of content is your genie bloopers.
Oh, the genie bloopers are good. 2 years ago, that was right. At the time, we said we need to get you in onto the podcast. We need to come out and do a proper club shoot with you.
Well, we wouldn't have even had the podcast at that point, but we were planning to launch it. Yep. So yeah, she would have been.
She could have been guest number 1.
I know,
because it was literally just before we'd done the first one. Mm-hmm. But she couldn't do that because she was pregnant.
That's right.
So we said, right, we'll put things on pause and we'll get back in touch with you once you have the baby and once everything's smooth sailing again. And 2 years later. We've always stayed in touch. We've been in touch with her the whole time. But 2 years later...
She finally came to the office one Friday to visit us.
And she didn't...
We're in sync there.
We done a podcast.
We did.
Here we are today with Lisa from the Performance Academy. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you guys?
Good. It's good to finally have you in the office.
I know. I'm so excited to be here.
It's been a long time coming because I think we came out filming with you over a year ago. I mean, it was probably a year and a half ago.
Yeah,
it was a year and a half ago, yeah.
A few Christmases. I remember I was writing, we're like, right, we have to do something. It's Christmas time. What happens at Christmas? Everybody goes to the panto. And so we were like, right, we're going to visit Lisa. Let's get her to perform for us in our Class for Kids panto.
She did, yeah. We wrote a version.
We wrote A Lad in a Teapot.
Yeah, A Lad in a Teapot. That's right. It's like not even 3 minutes, like 2 or 3 minute long little script. But what it started is a kind of tradition now.
Yes.
So for the second year, we got, it was Leanne.
Leanne from Dramalam.
Oh,
Dramalam.
Yeah.
So she came in here and we done one with her, which was Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
And we're just, I think that they're getting better each year. Now this year we've got Brian, our amazing videographer. He's going to be tasked with making some amazing panto, I'm sure.
I'm sure I have a list somewhere in the depths of my laptop of the next 4 years of pantos at Class for Kids.
We've literally planned it out.
I love that. What's this year? Do you know?
I'm sure it was something to do with Snow White.
Is it Snow White? Okay.
I'm sure. Yeah, we're kind of going down that kind of Disney theme and keeping it there.
But, okay.
But you were very good at just going, okay, yeah, I'll do this.
Yes, I did.
And you became.
I didn't have a choice. You were a very strict director.
That's true. I tend to be.
I know. Tell me about it. Honestly, I remember when we had the production of that finished though, and we grabbed the marketing team at the time. We were like, we want to show you something. And Stephen and I think Chris was involved at the time.
Chris,
we were so excited at the production, the quality of this thing. And I remember taking the marketing team and everybody was just blown away. So it really has started this tradition. And I guess for listeners and viewers out there, if you haven't seen A Lad in a Teapot, please go back to our social media channels and have a little look there because it's quite something. No, I think they definitely want to because Stephen's the genie in the bottle.
That's great.
It was a
genie in a lamp.
Breakout performance. Lisa, we've known you for a while, but I've not really known a lot about how you started and what your kind of inspiration was. Over to you. I mean, tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I went to, I was 9 years old and my grandparents lived in Inverness. And I'll get taken to see Aladdin, funnily enough.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be at the Theatre Eden Court in Inverness.
Do you know it?
I do, yeah, because I'm from near Inverness.
So. Oh, wow. Yeah, well, my grandpa Kenny took me there. And I remember sitting in the audience and saying, oh, God, Grandpa, when I'm older, that's what I want to do. And of course, as grandparents do, okay. And I was like, no, I really want to be on stage. And I think the following year,
what age were you, sorry? Was it
9?
9, right, okay.
Just turning 9, 8 turning 9. And my mum seen auditions for Annie with the Apollo Players in Glasgow. And of course with the hair. Get taken along to that and I just fell in love with
Did you get it?
I joined and I was in it, yeah. I think I played like a dog in one of the shows. Which was cool. But no, yeah, I loved that. And then get taken to drama classes and that just became my life, going to drama after school and Saturday mornings, going to musical theatre, singing, dancing and drama, and I just loved it.
And do you think you knew from that early age that this is what I want to do long term? Like, I know you're saying as a 9-year-old, you're like, I want to do that when I'm older, but when did the, I guess, inspiration for starting the Performance Academy come?
Yeah, so I got through high school and I actually really wanted to be like a modern studies teacher.
Really?
Okay. Yeah.
That's very different.
I know, I always,
Did you like Greek mythology and things like that, or what?
Yeah,
Is that what modern studies was?
No, modern studies is more about like politics, so,
Oh,
like
really?
what's happening in
What
society.
am I thinking about?
Probably philosophy.
Yeah, and then I applied to do psychology at uni, and I remember one of the teachers at school, my biology teacher, I was always in the corner, and I used to put on shows, so during the class I'd be like, woo, singing Sister Act and everything, and I remember one day he said to me, he was like, Lisa, you're never going to be a biologist, go and do drama. He was fed up of the whole like singing and dancing in the corner.
Were you ever like singing biology songs like this is the different bones?
Blaze bones connected to the...
No, I think it was like full-blown musicals with all the moves, and
Did you have an audience?
Oh yeah.
So that was the
And
problem.
do you know what's funny? Those girls bring their children to the TV.
No.
Really?
now. Yeah, they do.
I bet they're like
do.
that. Yeah, we'll take you, Lisa. She's been doing this for years.
Yeah, we had to listen to Sister Act and everything in the corner of our biology department.
So I don't think the teacher wasn't so much for you going, right, you know what, this isn't for you. He was like, you're disrupting the whole class.
Yeah. And then I think my dad was always very like, go and get grades behind you, and then I think eventually they just knew, they were like, do you know, actually, like that, go and do drama. And actually, I think I was quite young when I finished 6th year. I was one of the youngest in the year, and I got a job in like a lawyer's office, and I'd applied to uni to do different things like child psychology and stuff like that. And a few things I didn't really know what I wanted. Well, it's not that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just kind of covered different bases, and I think because I was a bit younger, you normally need to be 18 to go to drama school, and I was 17. And I worked in the lawyer's office a day. And in the afternoon, everyone was very like smart, and it was a very serious place to work and quite a quiet place.
You're like, no.
And I obviously
Sister Act didn't go down well there.
And I think I went in with like all the bright stuff on, and obviously had this energy, and I was answering the phone like, good morning. And the guy really politely said to me, do you know something? You really were made to do the arts. I don't think this is for you. Yeah, and just basically go.
Oh my God.
And I went, honestly, day one, and funnily enough, his grandchildren come to TPA, and he was like that to me. I remember you worked in our office for a day. I got
Do you know what? In a way,
He's part of the story.
Yeah, he's part of the story.
He
He's
is,
the foundation
he
of the Performance Academy starting in some way.
And I auditioned all through the UK, and then when I went to drama school, I always trained singing, dancing and acting, but acting was always my passion. My dad's always like, I paid all this money for singing lessons, and you could sing, but you never ever sing. And I thought, my heart's just in my drama.
Yes.
So where did you study then?
I went to the Hull College, University of Yorkshire, I think was.
Right.
It was a long time ago. I lived down in Yorkshire, and then from there I did my Masters at the Live Academy in Newcastle, and then it was kind of throughout drama school that we had to do a placement in the community, and they wanted you to work with in schools, nurseries, additional support needs. And a lot of my friends in class were like, oh no, I definitely don't want to do teaching, like no, it's not for me. And I was like, I am loving this. And really loved working with additional support needs groups like that. I knew from a young age that was my passion. When I was in high school, I did my work placement in an additional support needs school, and again I was teaching like there for PE. I was doing dances with them, and I thought, this is just I could quite happily do this. Moved back home, and I got like performing jobs and did like small roles and like still game as extra stuff and Taggart and things like that.
There's been a murder.
Yeah, and I've got a funny story I can tell you about that later.
Yes,
that
please.
I tell the kids. I'll come back to that. But yeah, so just definitely things, and I landed a really good job at the Fringe, and then I thought, right, what am I going to do? Because obviously acting, for some people it's great if you're a working actor and you get continuous jobs, but you know what it's like. I did want a house, and I wanted something. I didn't want to not have a job that was at performing arts, basically. And I then started teaching, but back then there wasn't lots of schools the way there maybe is now. So I had a job for like an hour and a half in Edinburgh on a Wednesday night. I was travelling to Stirling for 2 hours on a Saturday, and I worked for some really amazing people. And I did actually get a job where I worked for a school, and unfortunately it was ran like a business. But from that, what I mean is they didn't really love the children, and they weren't about the children. And I did actually go home from that really upset to my family, and I was like, I don't think I can work there. I don't.
During this, were you then just independently working for these other people?
Yeah,
This has
I
nothing
was
to do
like
with
a
your own.
freelancer.
Right, okay, got you.
So I'd been home by this point from England for maybe, and I'd actually been unwell, which is why I didn't stay in England. So I got offered a really good job at Hull Truck in a Shakespeare play, which being an actor, that was the dream. And I think younger, I did actually get some really exciting auditions down south. But because I was younger and I hadn't been very well, just as I was finishing drama school, basically I ended up in hospital with suspected meningitis.
Oh God!
Right before when I graduated. So basically, I got back to Glasgow and I was like, yeah, I'm going to stay home for a little while and kind of see what happens with performing. And because I had this show at the Fringe, that took me to different theatres across Scotland on the back of that. Then so that night I came home for that particular class. The way he kind of described it was it was a class. It was, you were just to go, you were to teach the kids, but you weren't really to,
form a rapport bond.
They didn't love children. And I think to run a children's activity, you need to love children.
Yeah, I would think that's like tick box number one.
Yeah, and then one of the days I was working in Stirling for a fantastic group. Actually, they were brilliant. They couldn't give you any more hours. So you're driving 2 hours, maybe in traffic, in a Saturday football traffic, working for an hour and a half, 2 hours back. And then it was actually a phone call with my auntie, who was a school teacher, my auntie Lynn, who's amazing. I was like, I'm going to open my own drama school because I really love kids and I want to do this. And when I was younger, we used to have Burnside, where I'm from, next to Rutherglen. The only drama school they had back then was Burnside Drama Group in the church. And by this point, the church drama group had stopped and there was no drama in our area. So Burnside, Rutherglen and Cambuslang. And I was like, I need to start classes for kids in this area. This is where I'm from. I went to school here, primary school and high school. This would have been 2008.
2008, okay.
Wow. And is that right? Is my maths right in that? 15 years ago? Is that right?
I was good.
It is,
2008. And the idea for TPA was born. One phone call, and I thought, no, I need to set up classes in my area where I'm going to bring the energy and really love working with children. And we set up classes. So this was over the course of a week. I think I phoned Business Gateway, told all my family, I'm opening a drama school, and what's a really good drama school name? I'm going to call it the Performance Academy, and we're going to do all these theatre shows, and I'm going to provide opportunities for all the kids in the area, and I'm going to they're going to be on TV, and we're going to have them performing at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. I'm going to do summer schools, workshops in schools, and as my family are great, they're really supportive. They were like, okay, Lisa,
go and do it.
Yeah, and my personality is very if I've got an idea, it's done yesterday.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm very on my feet, and within a week, the Performance Academy, literally 1 week, I had the name, I had t-shirts ordered, I had my logo designed, I had booked halls all in a week. And I started with 9 students in a building called Rutherglen Guide Hall, which I still use to this day. And everywhere we first hired 15 years ago, we still use, but we've just added to it.
Right, okay. How did you get your first 9 students?
All my flyers.
Right,
I designed them myself, Stephen.
Excellent.
Whatever little thing we had back then, you had to paint. Back in the days when we had I think we still had Bebo and stuff back then. Advertising and Bebo.
Do you know what Bebo is?
Yeah, I did have Bebo. I was that age bracket.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had another
okay.
half. It was my sister and a sister. My friend, I was like, nah, you're getting patched. I've got a friend now.
So I made up flyers. Oh, I wish, do you know what? I wish I brought it in with me today.
Have you still got them?
I still have them.
That's really cool.
I've kept them every year.
So did you just flyer the local area through post boxes, that type of thing, or
and
word
of mouth? Oh yeah, everything was
right,
me.
that's really cool.
It sounds like you were very clear on your strategy from the early days. If you're like, I want people in TV casts, I want them to go to the Fringe. Like, I mean, I guess you had that experience kind of growing up, like knowing what you wanted to do, like with the performance side of it, and then going to uni and that kind of stuff. So
I had amazing creative teachers who I still know to this day, and I can talk about this today as well, maybe, but that I've randomly stumbled upon again with the children from my classes. And I still remember the teachers that inspired me and that I loved because they loved teaching us. Like, I remember on a Saturday morning having a teacher, Hazel, and she used to come in and it was always, we all loved her class and it was all these amazing ideas and you could just tell that she loved being there. So that's what I wanted to give to the children.
So you started with 9 students.
Yes.
All those years ago. Where are you now?
Oh, okay. So we've got over 1,000 people attending our class every week. That's children.
Yeah.
And then we've got our adults on top of that.
Right, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite I mean, I know you've been on the go for a few years, but still, that is a significant expansion.
Like you said before, it's 15 years now, yeah?
It's 15 years in June,
Yeah, I know that because we attended your, what would you call it? Was it kind of a getaway at the hotel?
Oh, our staff training day. Staff training day.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were lucky enough to come along to that as well.
Which was lovely to have you there. That was
great.
fun.
It was brilliant fun. You had us doing all sorts, singing and dancing, and I know we've got some of that stuff planned for later on today as well in here.
Yeah, I can't
15
wait.
years, that is amazing. And like Rebecca said, it's like that all those things that you now do that, you supply people to the Fringe, like
so kind of what we are, who we are, is we've got our Performing Arts Academy.
Yep.
So we have our acting for stage and screen classes. We've got our musical theatre, singing, dance, music tuition, so guitar, piano, voice, one-to-one.
I didn't know you'd done all that as well.
We do one-to-one coaching. We do an event choir and an event team, so they just specifically come in to train to perform at massive events. So if it's charity, like the George Square Christmas lights switch on, openings for different charity groups and things. Then we've got our show production classes, which are kept separate for that way those children who don't want to do shows, who just like coming to the classes and they're building their confidence and they don't want to be put on stage, they can do that and they're comfortable in their class. So we keep our larger shows separate. So we've got them. Then we also do our baby and toddler classes, so musical theatre and drama, and then all of our adult programme and fitness as well. So there's a lot happening. And then we've also got our talent agency, which is
how many people are like you're the top of this tree. How many people have you got now
working for us? There's about 30 of us in 12.
Wow. Jeez, it's actually bigger than I suppose I actually really realised.
And I mean, you're across so many different locations, not just Glasgow, your Bathgate area and things like that as well.
So we're Glasgow, South Lanarkshire predominantly, that's where I'm from and that's where I always wanted the heart of it, I guess, to be, because that's how it started. I wanted classes in the area that I'm from myself. So Glasgow, East Wren, South Lanarkshire, West Lothian, and we're opening in a lot of new areas in August as well. So watch this space for that.
Watch this space. That's really exciting. And I guess, like, thinking about your staff, like what I was hearing from you when you worked at different places, like the investment in children and really caring for them, nurturing them, that's something that's really important. How do you look for that in people that you're hiring now, like that you're on the other side of that?
Yeah. So that is something that we've been very lucky at TPA. A lot of my staff I've had since I started, and we've had for many years. And I guess when we're interviewing, I do like it if they've had like previous experience of working with children. That's not always like necessary, because then we do provide training, and that is something we've got a strong focus on now, because we definitely over the years we know who we are and who we don't want to be. So we do provide a lot of, it's not strict staff training, but we know who TP is, and we always are very cautious of, we want our classes to be exactly so who we say we are in our advertising and through Class for Kids.
It's all about the brand.
We need our classes to completely reflect who we are and who we were set up to be. So we always want staff that are that
Yeah.
love children,
Well, I
want
guess-
to be teachers, and
Yeah.
are very outgoing and have got creative ideas and just have something unique to bring to the table, I guess.
Well,
Like,
Stephen's right. It does come back to the brand, and if that's what you're reflecting in your values, like how you speak, what kind of things you're putting out, and I guess like you're the face of your brand, and you're very like bubbly and very much like I really care for the children. I'm passionate about them, and I guess that people that are looking in to come in to work with you, they must get that from the first sort of look at your social media channels or like your website, that kind of thing. It must be very clear.
And when your
Yeah.
brand is kind of the product
yeah,
of this is the people teaching.
yeah,
You know, so like they have to be the brand.
yeah.
So you must find that like there must be people you've been like, no, you're not for here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I always say to people when they come, like, so if we interview them, and I always say, listen, I can take stuff in the chin, so if TP is not for you, that's okay.
Yep.
And that has to work two ways,
Yeah.
because I really want, like, ideally I like my teachers to be active, full of energy, on their feet, and to be fully aware of the room. And that's something that you can have amazing teachers, but they aren't always. So like, there is a lot of children who are reluctant, and it's not just about what you're teaching, it's also watching the children who are getting into the corner and taking charge of a room, but in a way that those kids are skipping in that door each session and then running out telling their parents, I don't want to leave, I've had so much fun tonight. So I think it is energy for me. It's energy, and it's who's got creative ideas. And I love nothing more. Like last night I was at one of our venues, and I walked in and I could hear from the door on the way in one of our new teachers, Erin, and she just won Team Member of the Month last month because she's come in and she's got all these ideas, and I could hear them all like, rah! And they're like, Miss Erin. And I walked in and she's got them all running around the room, and they're like little sponges watching her.
Yeah.
And I always think, and I always say this to my staff all the time, think, how would a parent feel? How do we want parents to feel like that? If ever you open a door and come into the session, how do we want people to feel? And as a parent last night, I would have been like, all these children are absolutely loving this activity. They're all fully engaged. They've all got high energy. This teacher's skipping around the room with all of her props, bringing the fun, the funness to the session. They're actively learning their musical theatre, because that's what it was. It was a Lion King class. And I just thought, this is great, because their faces, they were all taking part, they were all enjoying it. Should the full room engaged? And
Must make
it's
you
a
feel really
safe-
proud as well, though, like seeing
it's a
that.
safe, happy space
Yeah.
to leave your children. And I always just think that's what we want. We want a happy energy and something different. That's something that we are. We always say that we teach different things every week. So I don't really like carrying stuff on for weeks and weeks.
Okay.
Again, there's nothing wrong with that. I always just think, I tend to not talk about what other people do. I say I focus on what we do, because that's what TPE is. So we always kind of say that we cover all areas. So we do have a structured like lesson plan our teachers have to follow throughout the year. So that's kind of set out from August to Christmas, from Christmas to Easter, from Easter to 3 or 4 weeks before summer, and the last few weeks of term, the children and the teachers get input into maybe things they've enjoyed and want to do more of, or something that's their suggestions that they just bring in. So they have to follow that, but from there, the teachers then can plan their own lesson plans. But by doing that, we cover every single area of the arts. So we're ensuring then that we're educating our young performers, and no area of acting or musical theatre has been left out.
Yep.
It then also then means that they're becoming well-rounded performers, and that we are teaching them as many skills for life throughout an annual year or annual kind of term as we can. So yeah, no, it's always something different, because then again, if you have children off for a few weeks, they feel they want to come back.
Yeah.
It's a fresh lesson. And there is, you know yourself, when you were younger, there's things that I liked but didn't love as much of. So again, if you know you're doing voiceover one week and that's not really for you, but the next week where then it's musical theatre week, the week after that it's prop week, it's always something.
There's something for
It's
everybody.
mixing it up, yeah. And I think that's what keeps children wanting to come back, because it's engaged, and it is a bit like what's happening next.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting sort of approach to it.
And what would you say is your most powerful marketing tool? Because I'm going to guess word of mouth is kind of going to be up there as your top contender.
Yeah, word of mouth.
Mumfluencers.
Mumfluencers.
No, definitely word of mouth. And I think that's something that's probably my negative area. I think that because I care so much, and for so many years TPE has been me.
Yeah.
So and I can come to that as well today in our chat. But I think right up until probably COVID, I was spinning all plates, and TPA was just me managing everything, doing so many things.
How many? That was like 10 years in? Not more than that?
12, yeah.
But did you have a big team under you at that point still?
I had teachers, amazing teachers,
but
and
not
class
anybody
assistants.
Right, okay.
I did everything. So I was social media, I was manager, I was rotas, I was communication with parents, I was everything. I was taking everything to classes. I was at every class. I was still teaching. I was teaching during the day.
How are you still alive at the end of the day?
Do you know what though? See, at the time, I always was busy, but I'm busy doing a job that I love. So which is no better. Like there isn't anything better. But then COVID hit. And I was like, oh gosh. Like, I think for a lot of people, you either were really busy. For me, because TPA was essentially me, I panicked and I was like, oh no, what we're going to do? Like, I need to keep this alive, and I don't want to lose our amazing kids. And I really was worried that I don't know what I thought, because see now thinking back, I'm like, no one was going anywhere else. Nothing was happening.
But there was just that collective panic.
I worried about like our adults who a lot of our additional support needs heavily rely on the interaction and the actual teamwork and seeing people. So I worried about them being cut off from seeing each, because that's what they do in their day. They get ready and come to their activities. So I worried about them, and then I worried about our children's mental health and the fact that they weren't having socialisation anymore. So we did heavily go online, but I actually worked just as much during COVID. I threw myself into like specialist workshops. I brought in people from Hollyoaks and casting directors. Like, we had so much happening. I think I went to like flight or we're going to close. So I panicked, and I really did throw myself into.
And how did that kind of online approach take? Did you just give this stuff out to
Zoom? We did everything. So we did like family quiz nights, and we did all our Zoom classes, and actually it worked out pretty good, because a lot of our teachers who did then go and get different jobs, as a lot of people did during lockdown, the ones who stepped away and then said, oh listen, I'm now doing this job, there was enough hours for our teachers who wanted to work online to still be getting the same amount of hours they had when we were open. Which was really nice, because that's the other thing I care about the staff too. So you need to make sure that, because they've got families and bills to pay. So no, and a lot of our parents were great. Like
did payment continue from parents to you guys to provide these things online?
So back then, I didn't have class for kids before COVID.
I was old school as a dinosaur.
But really, like, without, I mean, forget us for a second, without any kind of system to manage what you just said you were doing, it must have been crazy. Like, was it full on spreadsheets?
I wish I had spreadsheets. I was pen and paper.
Oh my goodness.
The wee till at the venue. Honestly, mad.
Right,
pen and paper, bad words.
Pen and paper, all of our, and then obviously all the data rules changed. We did have spreadsheets, but at the classes you were naming the register and chasing
we
fees.
hear so many stories.
You're standing on a cliff edge, COVID's hit, like you're just feeling like totally overwhelmed. What was the thing that made you think, right, I need to look for a booking system, I need to do this?
And was it at that point? Right, okay.
Yeah, that I was like, I need, because obviously you weren't allowed to pass paper about and all this, and they were saying like limit everything, and it was more the parents coming into classes face to face, because when we reopened, you were still dropping your child off at a door, and the children were coming into the classes. So I was like, no, we need somewhere that everyone, all our teachers, because we have, as you said, so many venues and so many members of staff that we've all got access to it in the one space. And before COVID, I was still having to go to it. Well, I wanted to, but I was still out the house every night at all different venues, and I thought, no, this isn't working. The passing the registers about. So that's how I found class for kids. And then we did, during COVID, we had a sort of something like pay at one point. I think it was £12 or £15 a month, like unlimited classes online, and a lot of parents took us up on that.
That's great.
And then we varied it as we went, because then we started adding more classes when summer finished. Then we kind of tried to up ourselves to a regular timetable, so we upped the fees slightly to kind of marry up with that.
So you started using the system specifically for online. It was all online stuff that you were doing. That's really interesting, isn't it?
Yes. I guess I kind of have two things that I'm thinking about. So at what point did you decide, right, I'm in every day, I'm doing all of these things and I love it and it's my passion, but if I want to achieve something bigger, I need to be maybe stepping back from doing all of that, like day to day, like in the classes, all of them around the area. At what point did you realise that, and were there key hires that now kind of help? Like, for example, are you doing the social media still? Or are you still doing all the updates?
Is there a company structure now?
And I'm still figuring out my role, because I still am trying to do everything. So, but yeah, we employed Robin. So this is where I'm proud of my team as well. And I think what does make us quite unique, half of my staff team are ex-TPA pupils.
Oh, brilliant.
And I thrive on that. And I've got a few people just now who are class assistants that are about to graduate that already we've lined up to give jobs as teachers. And I love
got a little alumni.
It is good because they know TPA better than anybody else. So because they've came to the classes, they know everything about it, and then they
born and bred, isn't it? It's like
they've been nurtured right throughout their time. They understand like who their teachers are, and you know that just gives them the benefit
of having the longevity of the business you've had so far as well.
We've actually got some children just now who our 10th anniversary got awards off of us, because we're like, yep, you've been with me, I've had you at classes since you were 3, and they're now getting their 15.
That's
and they're
so cool.
Like, they're 18, and I'm like, oh,
you must feel so proud of them all.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then again, like that, so Robin was our dance teacher, came to TPA when she was a child and did musical theatre and came to a few classes, and then she was in quite a good place, and she was kind of looking for more of a kind of a full-time job, and she's great. She's really bubbly. You'll meet her later today. She's just, you couldn't get a kinder person towards the children and with the parents, and she's organised, and I love all my team, but she was a good fit to be like vice principal.
Brilliant.
And we're again, now that we're soon to be opening premises and things, we're aware that her role will change. So we've got her, and we've got a great girl, Nicole, who does all our marketing and our socials, and we've also got a new director too. So my husband.
That's right. I was going to say,
Dynamic duo.
I met him when we were out at the hotel.
So again, just. I think he'll come in and tell you. He's basically.
Is he coming today?
Hopefully later
on.
So he's volunteered his time at TPA for like 9-10 years, and again absolutely loves it. But he is from an IT background, like originally, and just having our wee girl and just kind of showed us where we're like, to know something, like no one knows TPA better.
What a stark difference coming from IT to throwing yourself into TPA though, right?
Yeah. So again, it's just this navigating and finding out. So I think he's going to move into a lot of our tech stuff and growing as we kind of open our new sides of the business, because we do have our sights set on other things now with our talent agency and opening premises, and we've got a lot of exciting things set for the next kind of year and a half. So he's
any spoilers? Any spoilers?
Just watch this space. Okay. we've been set a wee challenge as well, just of kind of growth, and just expanding more of what we do and being able to reach and benefit more people in more areas and helping the community more. And
this sounds like world domination to me.
I was thinking about when we're starting to wrap up the podcast, like what's your plans for growth? But it does, Stephen's answered it. It's just world domination.
Yeah, when we spoke last a couple of weeks ago on the phone, where were you?
I was in France.
Whereabouts in France?
I was in Paris. I was kind of all over,
And that was with the casting side. Okay, so explain, talk a bit about that.
I can't. I've signed a non-disclosure agreement.
Oh, that's even better.
Oh my gosh, we have an NDA on this podcast.
Oh, yes,
God,
we
do.
I know, it's an NDA.
No, I can't tell you about that job specifically.
It's obviously a big Hollywood then.
Yeah, and we have, it's amazing. Yeah,
I mean, we've got a lot to watch out for. Coming in your space.
It literally is like 9-year-old Lisa's dreams have came true.
Brilliant.
Definitely, it's my So we started all these things because, again, for me, going back to when I did other teaching jobs, I just wanted to be able to provide great opportunities for the kids. And then I realised when I was in drama school, when my other classmates maybe thought, oh, teaching's not for me, I thought, actually, I could go to work every day and enjoy watching the children performing. I still cry. See, every time the kids get cast, they all laugh at me. And parents will say, oh yeah, you're used to this now. I cry I cry at shows and everything. I'm the worst. But I cry every time our kids get booked a job. I care so much.
I mean, that really comes across, like, from everything that you've said today. Like, and it's not just the kids, it's the staff, it's your relationship with your parents, like all that kind of stuff as well.
And I've got a really strong, I can come back to customer service, but I really do want to keep parents and kids happy. That's my downfall, because you do care. I sometimes think, because like I do take anything wee things, like if castings go wrong, like we had a job on a big TV show and one of our little boys became slightly too tall for the role right before he filmed, and he'd auditioned for this role for 2 years, and honestly I broke my heart. And I do think perhaps, I'm not saying other agents wouldn't have cared, I'm not saying that, but I think maybe if you were with an agent that didn't have the relationship, because I've brought this, you go through watching children grow up and I've taught the kids, and so I've got that relationship and background with them, and when that happened to him, you'd have thought it was like happening to my child, and I did, and I think I probably cried more than what his parents probably did. And luckily there was a good resolution to that. Like, he ended up being cast as a different part in that TV show, and that had a happy ending. But
I'm just guessing. I'm trying to think.
We do lots of things. So lots of our kids can be Silicon Sky adverts that are on just now. A big job recently, which was brilliant, which our classes have a strong emphasis on, was our little girl Amy from our West Lothian classes was the face. She's done the mental health campaign. Do you know the ITV advert? The blonde haired girl, she sits down on the couch with her dad.
Yes,
That's
I
our
remember
Amy.
That
was wonderful. And he's saying like, how was school today?
And she's kind of like, it was fine, but there's like a monologue kind of being like, it was really bad. Just
that's Amy.
And
amazing. So even jobs like that, like Amy's came to our classes, since I think we started in West Lothian. And that's the nature of acting. It's just sometimes it's the perseverance and just telling the kids, listen, keep going, because there will be a job that you're going to get. And she's wonderful, and it was a long time coming for Amy, and she get that job. And we've had numerous kids in Outlander, numerous adverts and TV shows. And one of our boys is in Rain Dogs, which is like it's in the BBC, like a BBC Netflix series.
Rain Dogs?
There's loads of stuff happening, but one of our how much can I say? There's a few children that are leads in feature films this year.
Really?
With really well-known.
Once
when
they
they're
come
out, you can drop us a message and let us know.
You can see our kids in lots of things, and in musicals and things as well. And
that's
and
it's
amazing.
It goes right back to right at the beginning of this interview when you were talking about what you wanted from all the points of the business.
I guess we've kind of reflected on your journey, and one of my questions would be, for somebody who is maybe, at the start of that journey, maybe a year or two into it, what would your advice be to them? Like, what would your biggest tips be to say, persevere, keep going, these are the things to do?
A performer or opening a company?
Opening a company, I think, if you think about it from a business owner point of view.
You can do it. No, you can do it. And I think it's about knowing, you need to know who you are. You need to know who you are and what you want your school to be, and don't be frightened to voice that. So like that, like I train our teachers to ensure that who I want TPA to continue being going forward, and you mould it as you go, because there's things that we add in and we take out and we want more of, and we listen to the children. So I think it is just knowing what your club or organisation is, and selling yourself on that, and having that voice all the time. Like, I like my post to sound like me, and having that kind of warmth and having that energy all the time, and just go with your brand and work hard at it, because there's plenty of children, and children want to go to great classes. So, and I'd be happy to help anyone or give advice. I don't know answers to everything, but I want to help people too. And loads of our ex-students actually have opening clubs and things. And I always say, I'm like, open in the same area, but be clever. If I've got a class on a Monday, you open on the Tuesday, because the same kids will come to both. And we recommend, like, I've got a lovely Matthew's class for kids at the Root Theatre in West Lothian.
Okay.
Because I hate when people always think, because obviously in performing it can be really cutthroat, and I think people think, like, you can't be friends with other schools if you're doing the same thing, like you're the ones that we speak to, the club owners and whatnot, that do that same approach, always thrive more when they're more supportive towards us. I actually remember, like, Matthew ran his drama classes the same night in the same theatre as me, up a level. So we were in the same building the same night, delivering classes to the same age group, and we've got a great friendship.
That's
amazing.
But good. Like, there's enough children, and I think I probably, like, what we're doing slightly different. So I think maybe we were more like acting for screen at that venue, but it's still 2 drama classes and we're in the same building, and he'll still phone me and ask me things, and you learn as you go, don't you? I think you need that. I don't think it can be all...
Yeah.
I think it's just what you've summarised. It's been really strong in your ethos, your brand, your values, what you're offering and why you're unique.
One of my students said to me, and I'll always remember this, she was like... Megan, if you're listening to this.
Hello, Megan.
Hi, Megan. She was like, oh, I'm going to open premises and they're going to be amazing. And I'm going to this. We always spoke about pianos and stuff and what our piano would be like. And she's like, and you can come in and teach classes at my building, and I'm going to hold her to that. Because I was like, yeah, when you open your own school, I'm going to come in and do some lessons for you, and you'll employ me.
Do your master classes.
Employ me.
Full circle.
But yeah, and I love that. And the kids, I've got some boys just now who are like 12 and 13, and they're like, I can't wait to be like 18 and 19 and work for you. And I'm like, by the way, you're saying that, we're going to hold you to that.
Again,
That's good.
Yeah.
You get him signing the contract now.
I know.
May as well.
But no, it's great.
But thank you so much for,
Thank you for
one,
coming.
coming on the podcast, and 2, employing us.
Yeah.
No,
It's been
and 3,
great to
giving
have you.
us our new staff t-shirts.
Thank
Well, it's
you
been
very
great
much.
being on the Class for Kids podcast.
Thank
yeah.
you.
we're not going to be back, but yeah, we'll see you soon.
Yep, it's been nice. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I know we say this every time,
What's that?
but that was another amazing interview with Lisa.
It was. Well, we don't say it was an amazing interview with Lisa every time, because
Well,
that's the only time we've
true.
interviewed her.
Is it the first Lisa we've had on? Yes, it is. It is. We've had lots of L's, Leanne, Louise.
So we have. Mm-hmm. There's a kind of plethora of L's.
But seriously, no, what an amazing interview with Lisa. Such good business knowledge.
Really good business knowledge, and what a vision she's got for that company, and how it's grown even since we seen her 2 years ago. She's looking now, getting a new premise, and like the company's just grown and grown. Her husband is now the managing director of the company, because it's grown so big that he's managed to step away from his day job,
Yeah.
and he's now in the position as managing director there.
And to think that she kind of started out, she was talking about the fact that she used to do this on a Saturday and she would travel like so many different places in Scotland, and just the fact that she genuinely loves her job, and that is so evident in the business that she's got, the ethos at the academy. And she talked really favourably about branding and how actually that goes across her social media, it goes across things that she puts out in flyers, and it's her staff as well. So she's really got this idea that brand is what everything drives from, and of course I would agree.
So that podcast just left loads to take away from the marketing space, the brand space, how to get venues, how you should get your husband to leave his job and become a managing director of the company.
I know, Lisa's got it all. She's got it all. She's got the perfect plan for what she's wanting to do. And I think, the next few years for Lisa are going to be very exciting.
And we're not going to say goodbye to her soon, because we're going to be starting to work with Lisa on something that we're going to be doing in October down in Liverpool. That's all I'll say.
That's all you'll see.
But it's something huge and big, and it's a first for us. And yeah, we really want her to be involved in that, because the fun that she had in here is what we're looking to kind of bottle for our Liverpool adventure, we'll call it.
Liverpool Adventure, another secret code name that comes out.
Project Liverpool
Project
Adventure.
Liverpool.
Oh, I'll do it in Liverpudlian. Project Liverpool Adventure.
I hope the people of Liverpool aren't offended by your
No, I
impression.
think they can do a Glaswegian one. I'll be quite happy with that.
If you are from Liverpool or you know someone from Liverpool, please send this to them and let us know in the comments below if you think Stephen's really bad at doing a Liverpudlian accent.
Well, at least I can say Liverpudlian, unlike
Liverpudlian.
Rebecca, who says Liverpudlian. And on that note,
I think it's time for us to go.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye.